Dick, you were there when the very first debates started occurring on sales tax, income tax, and the Hughes administration.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to start by remembering that in 1963, 65, when Hughes was up for re-election, New Jersey was at the bottom of the country in state employees per capita, bottom of the country in state support for education, bottom of the country in number of college students. It was the last state to join the community college movement. I could go on. It was a special case. People blamed it on localism in politics, but it was a philosophy that was deeply embedded in conservative financial philosophy, deeply embedded in both parties. And people at that time took as just a fact of life that you had to start by paying whatever debt service there was, and then you pay whatever was required on the pensions, and you go from there on budgets. Now, as the state fell further and further behind the country on economic grounds, the case became stronger for doing something to modernize it, modernizing the transportation system, doing something about higher education particularly. And that began to build support for a broad-based tax, which is either a sales or an income tax. The first great battle about that was fought by Governor Hughes back in the early 60s. They came up with a gimmick, a bond issue that would have carried them over a few years. It was turned down by the public. So when I joined Governor Hughes, it was assumed that that would be the issue of the day. The Republican candidate for governor that year, Wayne Dumont, favored a sales tax, and Hughes favored an income tax. So they would dispose of the tax question rather quickly at the debates and otherwise, and saying, well, you have this and you have that. Neither one of them making the case for the particular tax.
But both of them came out in favor of a broad-based tax.
Yeah,
that in itself, it seems to me, would have been rather radical for the time, no?
Well, New Jersey was radical for the time in a variety of ways. During that same period, it came up with the toughest gun control rules in the country. Now, I don't know why things changed, but they did change. And I think personality has a certain amount to do with it. And Hughes had a special personality. He was a very effective politician. But it wasn't meant to be Katie bar the door once things changed. You still assumed that there would be fiscal prudence. And I know Cliff and I had the same experience. You would put the lid down on spending if it looked like it might go over. The state had no short-term debt at all when we came into office. And its long-term debt was quite manageable.
When you came into office in 73, under Byrne. Mm-hmm.
Hughes left the House in pretty good order.
But interestingly, although Dumont had run in favor of a sales tax and Hughes in favor of an income tax, it was the sales tax that ultimately got...
Well, Hughes came within one vote. Twice I've been with people who came within one vote of getting the income tax. Second time I was with Byrne, initially. We had the commitments for enough votes to pass it. On the morning of the vote, the Essex County delegation arrived, and they'd been solidly behind it. It was a boss-run county. And said to us, I remember who they said it to, but they said, there aren't any votes in Essex for the income tax. Hughes went to war for a little while, then cooler heads prevailed, and they said, let's settle on the sales tax. Republicans were very much involved in those discussions. It was a bipartisan attempt to do something about it. So the sales tax was enacted and became the major source of revenue until the income tax came along.